The Sims 4 StrangerVille is rich with potential, but feels empty. Polygon. When Maxis announced the newest, it immediately piqued my interest. Called Stranger, the mysterious desert town, combined with a distinct narrative element, made me specifically think of the Sims 2 games but not the traditional PC games. Instead, both versions of the Strange Town story worked and became some of the most memorable parts of the Sims franchise for me, so I was eager to see how StrangerVille would continue the legacy. Ultimately, StrangerVille is caught somewhere in the middle. It doesn't turn the edition note. This article contains slight spoilers for The Sims 4 StrangerVille. Because of how subtly, yet effectively, they tell stories. Each neighborhood, the neighborhood of Strange Town is full of alien abductions, ghosts, serial killers, mad scientists, government conspiracies, but only if you want there to be. You're totally free. Meanwhile, The Sims 2 for PSP has a very clear narrative approach. You create your sim. Unlike the old PSP game, The Sims 4 StrangerVille game pack doesn't lock me into the storyline when I load it up. To engage with this, before I move my sim into StrangerVille, I survey the neighborhood briefly. The Sims 4 base. After I move my sim into a cozy little trailer, she's greeted by the usual welcome wagon of visitors, NPCs who introduce themselves to her. But for some reason, in order to explore the mystery, I need to take a look at my sim's aspiration goals. They tell me that the neighborhood of StrangerVille is absolutely gorgeous. The attention to 3 different types of townie sims. The sims name for NPCs populate the town: military personnel, scientists, and conspiracy theorists. When I pick the top, I spot some of the pre-made family sims and try to talk to them, imagining what their roles could be in the whole overarching narrative. Very quickly, everyone in the town is essentially interchangeable within their roles, and vapid with their answers. When my sim playing through the mystery is fun enough. At one point, as with other Sims games, I imagine what this mystery means for my Sims specifically, who have given a backstory in my head. I always put StrangerVille's problem is that it takes a middle ground approach, fully entrenching the story in the pre-made characters and world. You like The Sims 2 on PSP would give it more closure and answers. But subtler plot. In the end, there is so much potential to revisit and modernize the engrossing storytelling that The Sims 2 games did so well that it's disappointing to see the lackluster finish. Maybe The Sims 4's next story-driven game pack might build upon this potential. But I am sad that
raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.